Hey, today we continue with our reading through Psalm 22. This is our 13th reading. It's from verse 14. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is melted within my breast. Do you notice how many aspects of the human body are under physical assault in this verse? Jesus has endured the searing pain of the nails as his weight is pulled against his spiked wrist. He has struggled to breathe. He has been terribly traumatized. This is torture. As the psalm begins, Jesus was assaulted by the mere thought of being forsaken, left alone, and abandoned. Various places in the psalm have described the deep spiritual hurt, emotional distress, and psychological pain of his trauma. These assaults are non-physical, but now in verse 14 we're told of the terrible assault on the human body. As Jesus recollected this 1,000-year-old psalm, he would have remembered the parts of his anatomy and physical being mentioned. His bones were out of joint. His heart was like melted wax. One translation says that his heart was melting. It was seeping into his bowels. His physical strength had dried up. His tongue was swollen in his dry mouth, and he was facing the dust of his death. It seems to me that these are all descriptions of the opening phrase, I am poured out like water. This verse is a terrifying description of a terrible moment, and it is happening to Jesus in real time. Our eternal God is being tortured and killed on a cross. When we say it that way, the eternal Creator meeting his death at the hands of his creatures, we have to admit that sounds impossible. This can't be happening. And yet, sadly, it is. Even more profoundly, it had to happen. Jesus had to die. The Christian faith holds two truths to be self-evident from the gospel record of the life of Jesus. First, he was God incarnate. He was the divine Son of God, descended from on high to live our life. He was born of a virgin and untainted with the sin of humanity. He is the eternal second member of the Trinity. Jesus is God incarnate. But there's another truth that Christians must believe. Jesus is also a man, a fully human being. He was born through the birth canal. He was raised as a child of parents in a human family. He went through his childhood, puberty, learned to read and write, memorize the scriptures, and in his early adult years learned to trade as a craftsman. He was fully man. These are both true. Jesus is God, Jesus is man. And we see the two natures of Jesus Christ depicted in Psalm 22. On the cross, we see our Lord's physicality, the human pain and suffering from the taunts and torture. As a man, he does not have an escape plan. He does not rise above the pain and agony and retreat into some spiritual realm. The pain was excruciating, a word that literally means to crucify. But also on the cross, we see his divinity shine through. He continues to trust in his ever-close relationship with his Father. When he dies, we see the surrounding order jolt and rock. The earth shakes, darkness descends. At his death, the heavy curtain protecting the Holy of Holies in the temple is torn in two. We're not privy to everything that transpired around his death, but it was intense. Christians have meditated and contemplated the death of Jesus for 2,000 years. There are endless truths to know and to discover in the record of his last hours. In the Gospel of Mark, the manner in which he died convinced the centurion in charge of the execution that he was indeed the Son of God. And as we read, pray, study, and think about the way our Lord Jesus died, it compels us to want to live as he lived as well. I will just leave you with one question today. The two truths of the Christian faith, that Jesus is God and Jesus is man. What does that mean for you? Have a blessed day.